Welcome back to the Context Coaching Podcast. We are joined today by Roxanne Holt, all the way from Florida, owner of Holt Consulting, who does a variety of things and leadership and all kinds of other coaching type activities that she's going to tell us all about. Roxanne, thanks for being here. I'm glad we finally got to business.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So let me do this. So we met on the airplane for the listeners. I was coming back from the National Athletic Director Conference, and I sat down next to Roxanne and her husband, Roger, and we started talking, and we've built a relationship over the last 6 months, and I thought it would be great to get you on the pod, share some of your leadership lessons and coaching advice you may have for others that are potentially trying to start businesses, run teams, etc. So if you don't mind, take us through the background of how you became an owner of Holt Consulting. What is it that y'all do? Take us through that journey and your background to where you are now.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Glad to be here with you, Justin. So a little bit about myself and my husband. My husband has a military background. He graduated from United States Military Academy, West Point, served in the Army for 10 years and flew Chinook helicopters. And I've got a corporate background. I used to work for a defense contract out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And my husband and I actually met through this business opportunity, and we got started in business, a little over 30 years ago. And so I'm very excited about our business, but also the products that we represent within our products in the health and wellness, skin nutrition, home care product line. So excited to share with you today.
So can you go a little bit deeper into that? Okay, we met as part of this business evolution, talking through a little bit about what you were doing at the time, what Roger was doing at the time, how you decided to morph that into a partnership and then a business that you've been running for 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was mentioning, my husband was in the Army and he was stationed at Fort Bragg, which is now Fort Liberty, right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and was introduced to the business from somebody that he went to church with. And I was living in Raleigh, and my sister was involved in the business. And we actually met at one of our conferences and dated for a little bit and got started. I got started in business. He had already been in the business for a little while. And then, of course, we got married and moved on down to Orlando, Florida. And we've been building our business out of Orlando for 30 years. And so along the way, just had the ability to make some different decisions and had some different options to where I stepped away from corporate America. Very thankful to be able to do that. We've got 3 daughters, 28, 25, and 16. And so just been a blessing to be able to do something to where I could control my time and still raise a family.
Love that. Now, when we first met on the plane and I asked what y'all were doing, and you said we're in e-commerce. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about that. We didn't get too in depth on the plane, but afterwards we've had some conversations and you keep referring to it as the business, which may get confused with other people in the world, depending on what line of business we're actually in. But talk a little bit about what that means, that the combination of the business and e-commerce and what it is exactly you do and how you've built that over the last 30 years, where you started, what it's become, what the roles are now. And then we'll get into a little bit of what you learned through that journey.
Absolutely. Great point. So yes, our platform is an e-commerce platform. And so obviously everything is done online for us. And so we are just the relationship, we're the connection from the product to the person. But all of the ordering, all the logistics are done online. So it's not a brick and mortar business. It's an e-commerce platform. So it definitely frees up a lot of time for us.
So then let's get a little bit more into the specifics of what it is you sell, as you are a connector, as you said, right? So obviously there's plenty of places people can go out and buy things in this commercial-driven economy or commerce-driven economy. And what role do you fill there? What are the things that you're selling? What are the ways in which that has morphed over the years and landed you where you are now, and the things that ultimately are at front of mind that have been transformational for both you and maybe the end user?
Absolutely. So we've got products that land in the health and wellness space, the sports nutrition space, skin nutrition, cosmetics, and home care products. And they're not products that are found out in the marketplace. We're privately held. Everything is done through our website, through our e-commerce platform. But we've got products that what we like to say is what the marketplace demands. And so products where they can trust quality, they can trust ingredients. So it's a separating factor in that all of our products have got some kind of certified organic ingredients infused into them. And so from seed to traceability, we like to say our seed to supplement, seed to end product is a traceable means. We've got high quality products, but very competitive pricing.
Can you go a little bit more in depth on what these might be, right? So you're looking in the background, people that aren't watching the video can't necessarily see this, but you mentioned sports nutrition, you mentioned skin nutrition, which when we were talking the other day, I was like, what is skin nutrition? Never heard that term before, but talk a little bit about what these are and how maybe they compare to what's in the commercial marketplace.
Yeah, so if you just take health and wellness, I've done a lot of research on just the average person's diet on a daily basis. We just don't get the nutrition that our bodies need for optimal performance on just the day-to-day. And so being able to have vitamins and supplements and targeted products that help you fill in that gap with your diet is so important so that your body sustains energy, focus, its overall performance, the nutrition. And so being able to offer people products that fall in the health and wellness space is really awesome. Our sports nutrition line, when you say sports nutrition, sometimes people tap out and they go, I'm not in the gym, I don't work out. But our products are across the board, whether you're heavy in the gym or you just go for walks on a daily basis. But anything from pre-workout to post-workout to recovery-based products that help you with optimal performance as well. Our body needs assistance. As a standalone, our body eventually is going to get a little bit tired and maybe wear down a little bit. And so just paying attention to the overall health and wellness of your body and the needs of your body is what helps you with your mental acuity. It helps you with your overall physical performance, whatever it is that you're doing. It helps you with stress, helps you in every area. And our skin nutrition, as you mentioned, it is a nutrition in skin cosmetics or skincare is a little bit of a different buzzword out there. But skin nutrition are products that are used for your face, but they're infused with certified organic ingredients. So no chemicals, no animal testing. And so just safe products to be able to put on your skin. I like to remind people that your biggest organ of your body is your skin. And sometimes that gets neglected. Sometimes even guys neglect their skin a little bit and they don't want to use those regimens of cleansers and toners and moisturizers. But we really do have to pay attention to our overall body, but especially our skin on our face, because a lot of times that's where age shows up first. And then we've also got a home care product line that has certified organic ingredients as well. They're plant-based, so very home friendly, no chemicals, so very friendly for pets, for young children. You can definitely trust the ingredients of the products that you're using around your home for cleaning products and for laundry care products.
All right, so that's a good setup for my next question, which is, given the oversaturation of the market in all three of those categories, from a leadership standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a sales standpoint, as somebody that's business is sales, essentially, how do you compete? How have you had to strategize recently at the beginning of your time doing this, in the middle, given that most of that space is unregulated? There's probably, you could fill your house 28 million times over with the amount of products that are out there, right? How do you compete? How do you set yourself up for success? Talk a little bit about what you've learned over time and from a leadership standpoint of being able to actually not push your product, but inform and educate and steer people to things that you think might or are better for them.
Yeah, great question. Great question, because you're right. There are a lot of products out there and you do have to stand out, right, to make a statement. So I'll give you a little bit more background. I'll dive a little bit deeper into our product portfolio. So we've got over 400 products in our product portfolio. So we're not a one niche. We reach all the daily consumables that go in and out of people's homes. So with over 400 products in our product portfolio, we hold over 900 patents. And so a lot of our products can never be duplicated out in brick and mortar. And so that's a lot of credibility. That's a lot of testimony behind our product and our brand. I am not, I'll speak for myself, my husband and I, we are not salespeople. We don't try to, like you said, Justin, we don't try to push our products on anybody. Testimony carries a lot of weight with people. And when you believe so strongly in your products and you've got testimony behind your products, that's the trust factor. That's the connector between you and the person on the other end, that you're right. They could go buy anything, anywhere. And that's where we step in. We add a personal touch to our product. We add personal testimony to our product. So no longer do you just go buy something off the shelf and wonder, are there results behind this product? Is this product going to be effective for me? Am I going to get the results that I'm expecting from these products? So when we step in and we educate people, we train people on our products, we inform them, we give them the thing that separates us from the marketplace, which is quality of our products, quality assurance. When you do a deep dive into our health and wellness line, we are the only company that owns and operates their own certified organic farms, over 6,000 acres. And so you can trust in, like I said earlier, from seed to supplement has a traceability factor. So you can trust in the quality of ingredients, especially when you're ingesting products, when you're taking products and putting them inside your body, right? You want to be able to trust in that product 100%. And so same thing with your skin. When you're applying product on your skin, you want to know what the ingredients are. You want proven testing behind those products. So there's a lot of research. There's a lot of scientific research done on our products before they even land in our product portfolio.
So to that point, when you're talking about testimony, you're talking about conversations and putting your name behind the product, which you would hope everybody does, what are some of the ways that your testimony, so to speak, has evolved, has grown, right? Raj mentioned you're going to this LT conference, which I think was leadership training and development. Maybe I'm wrong on the acronym, but what have you taken out of those events in the past that you've been able to apply, not just to your business and your portfolio, but also to leading your children through this, right? Or your friends that maybe aren't connected directly with you in the business. Hell, even myself, in regards to what I do from a coaching standpoint, what are some of the things that have become linchpins, so to speak, for you as you navigate the world that you could offer to others out there that are trying to grow as leaders and coaches potentially and business people?
Yeah, for me personally, I would definitely want to lead off with character and integrity. People want to do business with people that they can trust. So I think that's a huge part of it for Roger and I, especially, that we believe very strongly in our business. We believe very strongly in our products. And I believe that comes across when we're talking to people. We're not promoting something that we don't believe in. We've experienced so much over the past 30 years. It would take a hot minute to condense it all here, but I will say the forefront leader would be character and integrity behind everything that we do to the best of our ability. Leadership matters, leadership and mentorship. I believe that matters no matter what industry you are in, no matter what you are doing and affiliated with, whatever your goals, your dreams, aspirations are. We all need that person or that group of people that we can look to, that we can learn from, that we can follow in their footsteps. And I would say that's a huge factor for Roger and I, and where we've been able to develop our success as a whole, as a husband, as a wife, as a family unit, as a business leader, is because of coaching, because of mentorship. But I found that's a choice too. People have to want that. They have to hunger for that. They have to want to choose to be around people that are successful. And I truly understand that everybody defines success For Roger and I, it's the full package. It's not just about how wealthy are you? That's not what defines success for us. It's the full package that comes into play. And so we've been very blessed, very fortunate to have people in our life that we could look to, that we could follow, that we could see what they have achieved in their life and choose to just narrow our margin and get in lockstep with them. And so it's made all the difference in the world for us. So character, integrity, your own personal leadership, what you provide for the people that are around you, and then receiving mentorship all along the way, never feeling like you figured it all out and that you know everything, right? And being in that student mode, no matter where you are and what you've achieved, just being in that student mode, that protege mode with people that are maybe a little further on down the road than you. We would definitely attribute where we are today to those qualities for sure.
One thing you just mentioned is how are you surrounding yourself with people that are going to help grow you? And so in in that particular vein, talk a little bit about how, not how did you figure that out, but how did you position yourself to do, right? Because often people come into different jobs and maybe they don't feel like there is a network for them to tap into. So, as you say, came in on the ground floor and we're trying to figure out how to survive, one, but also how to grow your skill set. Like, how did you figure out and what were the techniques and strategies you used to surround yourself with people that were successful, however you want to define that?
Yeah, absolutely. We put a heavy emphasis on reading success-based principled books. Like I said just a minute ago, just being that student and being hungry to learn, always wanting to be a learner, never an arriver. But books are a huge part of it. There's so many success-based principled books that we have access to. And so we promote that heavily. None of us know what we don't know until we dive into success principles and leadership and team dynamics and personality skills. So books are a huge part of our training and our education system. Audios that have been done by men and women that have been very successful in our industry, and listening to their testimony, their story, how they, same thing you're asking me, Justin, how they got started and how they chose to do something with this. And I'll also say that I believe that we can get started in a lot of different things, but to be successful in any one thing, it's going to require focus. It's going to require prioritizing your time. Sometimes spinning way too many plates can be a disadvantage at being successful in any one industry. And like I mentioned earlier, my husband and I have just chosen to narrow our margin and to realize that this is what we chose to do. This is the vehicle that we chose to pursue that enriched our entire life, to be honest. There's always conferences and opportunities for us to participate in, and we always choose to do that. It's a high priority for us because, again, that's where people that are in our sphere, in our circle are, and that's where we choose to be so that we can learn. It's never one thing. It's usually a composite of a couple different things, but those are three that I would put at the very top: being a reader, being a student and studying, always studying success-based books, listening to audios. Some people would maybe call them podcasts, but listening to audios of people that have been successful in the industry that you are in, and then always being in that protege mentorship relationship. Roger and I just have this viewpoint that wherever our mentors are, and if we have access to be there, we're going to be there.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important lesson across industry. I just got back from a week-long conference in San Diego last week, and then I met you coming back from a conference that was very similar. And I think for the first part of my career, I didn't realize how important those networking opportunities were from the standpoint of having your eyes open to different things and opportunities, but also just meeting people that could be resources along the way, both directions, both you to them and them to you. And I think that what you just shared there is super important. I am curious, you mentioned books. What would you say are some of the books you have gifted most throughout your life because they were so powerful for you?
Gosh, Magic of Thinking Big, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich. So many, gosh.
That's a good starting place. A couple of those are appointment reading for anybody that's trying to get into the business space. And so I think anybody that's listening, grab those, tear through them, then seek out more. I think it'd be super beneficial. All right, I want to pivot here, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to put your spin on some things regarding the company you work for. So you haven't mentioned it yet, but Amway is the group that you are a part of. And if you jump on Google, there's a million different opinions, both directions. The consensus seems to be that you can't argue with the product quality, but the way in which things are potentially structured may be a turnoff for some. Can you dive into this a little bit in the way in which makes you feel comfortable about continuing to grow the network? And I ask that from a standpoint of there's a great business here, but if people are resistant for whatever reason, they're missing out on an opportunity potentially. The brand awareness potentially doesn't grow. And I'm sure that you run into that as you're bumping into people and you're trying to help them and mentor them. There's always going to be whatever's out there in the universe that potentially gets in the way.
Yeah, good question. And I definitely respect the question. The company has been around for over 60 years and they hold an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, #1 direct selling company in the world, So it just depends on what people are looking for. If people are looking for negative, they're going to find it. If people are looking for positive and success, they're going to find that too. And we just direct people to what we have. Like I said earlier, we don't try to sell anybody on anything because we've learned that if you have to convince somebody to do one thing, you're going to have to convince them to do it over and over again. And none of us have time to do that. But if people believe in something because they've done healthy research, then we don't have to convince them on anything. They're gonna find exactly what they're looking for. And that's in anything. If you're looking for the negative loophole, you'll find it. If you're looking for the positivity and the success, you're going to find that. And that's just what Roger and I have chosen to do. Is if you look at us based off of our credits and our merits, we're the #1 direct selling dietary brand. So it just depends on, do you have accurate information? Is it a Google search? You can Google search anything and I can promise you, you're going to find a lot of negative, right? So it just depends on where your search is and what you're choosing to listen to. And is that backed by merit? So great question. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to it because sure, everybody has hesitation and reservations. And we just put our business model out there. We put our products out there. We let our credentials and our merit speak for themselves. And we've just found that if people are looking for what we have to offer, then it's a great partnership. If people aren't looking for what we have to offer, it doesn't offend us in any way. There's something else out there for them that they can be successful in.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one of the things you said is you're going to find what you're looking for. And that's the same thing in life, right? So if you're, whatever it might be in whatever profession you're in, if you're seeking out negativity, you're going to find it. If you're seeking out positivity and opportunity, you're going to find it. And I think ultimately the way in which you approach that is you let people make choices, you present opportunities, and then they get to do what they want. And I think ultimately you mentioned this way at the beginning because you're not salespeople. Sure. And when your business is based on sales, at the end of the day, there is an aspect of salesmanship that comes along with growing business. But I hear what you're saying. And that goes back to what you said with credibility, trust. If you're being judged on your credits and your merits, then it's always going to play itself out as long as you are standing on principle. And I think that's super important in regards to how any of us try to navigate the world, because ultimately you lose a little bit of that, it has a compounding effect the wrong direction. So let me ask a follow-up in regards to you getting out of the corporate world. What did you learn there that has stayed with you, and what are some of the things that you have intentionally set down?
Wow, that's making me go back a day or two. Obviously, when I was working in corporate America, I was working on a defense contract and I was pulling 10, 12 hours a day, probably 6 days a week. I was single at the time, so I didn't have a whole lot of other priorities tugging at me, but most of my life was consumed at work, which wasn't fun for me. I can't speak for everybody, but it wasn't necessarily fun for me. And being able to have something that my husband and I own our own business. We're not in business by ourselves, or we're not in business, we're in business for ourselves. This is our company, we're in business for ourselves. And so there's some choices that present themselves in that situation to where we can choose how much time and effort we want to put towards something. Obviously, when I was working in corporate America, it's the calendar's dictated, the schedule's dictated. You don't have as much freedom and choice to be able to do the things that you want to do or travel. And then fast forward the clock, we have a family. And I wanted to be present with my daughters. I wanted to be, and Roger, we both wanted to be very present and very hands-on parents with our kids. And so we looked at this as a really strong vehicle. So for me to be able to walk away from corporate America there wasn't any hesitation or any reservation for sure. And I came from a family, both of my parents worked for the government, and we traveled overseas. There was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of delayed gratification there so that my parents could provide for my sister and I. So I watched that. I grew up in that. I grew up in the corporate world. We lived right outside of DC. My dad was stationed at Langley. You can probably put the pieces of the puzzle together without me saying it. But I knew I didn't want that long term. And when this opportunity presented itself, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I want to see where this can take me at the time, because I was single. And then I met Roger, and then us, and then our families. We just made it a priority because we saw the outcome. We saw so many people create life success through the business that we were like, you know what, if they can do it, we can do it too. We just have to be willing to do what they did in order to get to where they are.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, right? You're going to take a risk of the consistency of corporate life, whether you enjoy it or not, to, hey, we got to build this out on our own. But belief and commitment and those types of things are always going to see you through to the other side. And it's going to be bumpy for the most part. You stick with it. It's a long game. How would you say, or how would you advise others that are potentially looking at your opportunity, or even something that's similar, right? In that vein of, I forget what you said earlier, but something to the effect of, we need to stop spinning as many plates, but it's, you're pushing all your chips on this and it's make or break. Talk a little bit about I'm going to use these words, but they're super loaded, but like the stress and anxiety that comes with making that choice and knowing that you got to figure out a way to make it work, and what allowed you to take that risk at that time. And what you would advise others who are maybe like, I don't know, this is safe.
We didn't make any huge life-changing decisions until we knew that we were in a position to be able to do that. So that's definitely something I need to lead off with is, we didn't just make a spontaneous decision to walk away from a military career of 10 years or a corporate career. We had sound mind, and we made decisions based off of the success of everything, putting everything together on the table. So I definitely want to speak to that. It wasn't an overnight decision. It was a process and a progress in our business. But I think with anything that you do and you want to see ultimate success out of, you aren't able to treat it like a hobby. If you want to see ultimate success at your career, maybe you just absolutely love what you're doing, and that's fantastic. Whatever it is that you're doing, hopefully you love it, because then it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't seem like work. It doesn't seem burdensome. It doesn't have as many stress factors in it. So whatever the audience is doing, I hope you truly, genuinely love it and you get so much fulfillment out of it. But if whatever you're doing and you want to see that ultimate success out of what you're doing, when we don't have the ability to treat it like a hobby. So if you're working somewhere, imagine if you're working somewhere and you just decide that you're just going to show up 1 or 2 days a week, probably eventually you might get let go, right? Because they're looking for people that want to support what they're doing. They're looking for people that want to support the mission, cause, and purpose of what their company is in pursuit of. So they're looking for people that'll commit to their brand or whatever the mission is. And we're no different. We're no different than that. It doesn't have to be an all in. Not everybody that gets started in business is all in. Some people progress to that decision. I did. I had to progress to that decision. Roger's perspective was a little bit different. He saw this immediately and got so excited about it, and he wanted this to be a vehicle for him. But we understand not everybody's in that position to just make that ultimate decision right out of the gate. But if you just stay steady, and you said something earlier, Justin, this isn't a sprint, it's a journey, it's a marathon. And we would rather people take some time on the front end to really get acclimated and really take a deep dive into what we're doing and what we have to offer, then get in, try full charge, and then go, oh, this isn't for me. You're better off a slower pace to learn and grow and adapt and let it be a marathon than trying to get involved in something and it's a sprint and then you die out a week or two later.
I think the lesson there is consistency over intensity, right? And eventually you get to build a little bit more of a base. It's like athletics. Well, you got to condition a little bit before you are running on that platform. So I think that's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There's a small percentage of people that operate in that fullness of intensity. A small percentage of people. So if you want to relate to more people, you have to be more balanced with your intensity.
Indeed. That's what I'm trying to figure out in life. All right. Hey, this has been great and informative. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about Holt Consulting and Amway products and what your business is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to redirect that on you, Justin. You're the connector between me and your audience. I'll let you be the conduit there, but definitely open to any phone call that I can have or any information that I can provide on a one-on-one basis with people. Would love to do that for sure.
All right, folks, you heard it here. If you're interested, reach out to me. We'll get you connected and you can potentially have an opportunity to grow a side business to start, but maybe it's something that could become the main thing in the future as it has for Roger and Roxanne. So thanks for jumping on. Looking forward to seeing you next time you get out to California. Outside of that, enjoy your conference that's coming up.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.